Hello, good evening, and welcome to another Facebook Live conversation. During the summer, it's 2018. If you're watching this as a replay, maybe in a couple years, my name is Jen Bengal. I'm from Out of This World Literacy. Every summer, I do a Facebook Live series. This is my third annual summer series, and I'm already a few weeks in. Here's my calendar. It's probably backwards, but you can see all of the different conversations that we've had this month. If you wanted to go back and listen to other videos, you can do that by looking in the video section on my Facebook page. You can look at 2 summers ago or 2017 as well. Hi, Georgia. Thanks for saying hello. If you're just joining, say hi. I would love to hear from you. Tonight, I'm going to have a really great conversation with you because I'm going to talk to you about the questions that we ask our students that interrupt their thinking and the wrong questions that we ask them and how you can ask them the right questions. So we're going to talk about this in a little bit of detail as people are just joining on. Say hello. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. I'm also going to answer 3 questions from teachers just like you that are related to literacy. And we're going to get into those after we cover our topics. Hi, Rebecca from Indiana. Hello, Kristen from Florida. Hello, Christine. Hi, Jessica. So glad you're on here. Hi, Marge. Welcome. I'm so excited all of you are coming on to say hello to me. It's always fun when you can join live. It's great to watch the replays too, but being live, you can kind of say hello, and it's like we're in person just a little bit. Hello, Joanna. Hi, Christy. Welcome. I'm so glad you guys are all saying hi to me. It makes me feel good. Okay, so today's topic is something that kind of blew my mind. As most of you know, if you know me a little bit at all, my background is I have a graduate degree in reading, but I also have a postgraduate degree as a literacy coordinator. So I trained with Irene Fountas, which was pretty crazy, in Boston at Lesley University. And a couple of times she came in and she did some amazing trainings with us. It was this little small group. There were like 8 or 10 of us. And Irene Fountas, like in a circle. Can you imagine? It was so cool. If any of you are literacy nerds like me, it's like, so if you don't know who she is, it's kind of like sitting in a room with Tom Cruise for reading. It's pretty cool. But anyways, she said something that I'll never forget. And we were talking about questioning our students after reading. And she said something that something along the lines of stop interrupting your students' thinking by asking them questions. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? I don't even know what that means, but it's Irene Fountas. I'm not going to argue her, clearly, right? And she was like, all of our teachers, so many teachers are interrupting their students' thinking by asking them questions. And I was like, wait a minute. I know she's got to be right. It's Irene Fountas. But what is she talking about? Because when I ask my students questions, I'm getting them to think, right? I'm asking them questions about what they read, and I'm getting them to start thinking. But she explained it, and this is what she meant. And then we were talking about guided reading, or any time after the students are finished reading a piece of text, whether it's out loud or silently to themselves. As teachers, we tend to fill the space, to fill the noise with specific questions. So say we're in a guided reading group, and our focus that day is on finding the main idea, and that's great. We should focus on some sort of skill when we're working in a guided reading group. But let's say the students are reading silently in that group, and they're reading about a character who broke their arm. And one of the little guys in your guided reading group had broken their arm the year before, and he couldn't swim all summer long because he had a cast on. Just totally making this up. So as this student is reading, guess what the student is thinking about? He's not thinking about the main idea. He's thinking about the connection that he has to the character and the broken arm and what it was like to have a broken arm and how hard that is and how hard it can be and how much it stinks when it's summertime and you can't swim because your arm's in a cast. So immediately after reading, the teacher goes right into her conversation and her main focus. And the first thing she says after reading is, okay, who can tell me what the main idea is? With good intention, she's wanting to get them to think about the focus point. But now that student who made this great, strong connection to the character has to stop all of that processing, stop all of that thinking to switch gears into, wait, what was the main idea? I was thinking about this amazing connection. Now, wait, my teacher wants to know the main idea. And they're totally flustered because their train of thought was going somewhere else. And then it started to make sense what Irene was saying. Okay, I get it now. We can still have that focus topic, but we can't get into that until immediately after the reading, we have a conversation about what the kids are actually thinking. And in order to do that, we have to ask open-ended questions. We can't ask specific questions to a comprehension skill yet. we want to find out what's going on inside of their minds immediately after reading. And in order to do that, we have to ask open-ended questions. This gives us a great snapshot into what our readers are thinking and also what they're not thinking, which can drive our instruction. So instead of asking your students a specific focus-related question right after reading, ask them an open-ended question, a question that's going to provoke them to talk about what they're actually thinking. Here's some ideas. I've written some ideas down for open-ended questions you can ask your students right after reading. This is a good one I like to say all the time. Tell me what you're thinking about the text. And then just wait. Give them a good 3-4 seconds to process your question and answer you. It's okay to have a little bit of silence during the lesson. Sometimes the kids need that little bit of extra time, especially if you're working with kids who are struggling as readers and they need a little extra processing time. Give them that time. So say things, tell me what you're thinking about the text. Tell me what you remember from the text. This is a good one because this will tell you what they actually can retell. And if they didn't have a lot to remember, then they probably weren't doing a very good job with comprehension, and you can address that. What are some things you're still wondering? That's a good open-ended question. What did you learn from reading? Did you enjoy the story? Tell me more. And that 3-word phrase, if you don't get anything else out of this talk, remember that 3-word phrase. That's hard to say. 3-word phrase. Tell me more. When you say tell me more to your students, that is getting them to dive deeper into their thinking. So a lot of our kids, especially the reluctant readers, they'll give us 1-word answers or just a little, I don't know, it was a good story. Tell me more about that. What do you think? And keep going with tell me more, tell me more. And you're getting them to dig deeper into their thinking and not just sitting on that surface. It's a really good 3-word phrase to use. And again, wait and let them tell you more. Tell me more about your thinking as you were reading today. How would you describe the story to your friends? And what are your opinions of the story and why? These are all really good questions that are not going to interrupt your students' thinking, but they're going to encourage them to share their thinking. We don't want to control what they're thinking as readers immediately after reading. So ask open-ended questions. And then once you have that conversation done, then you can take them into a focus skill like a main idea. So just think about that. Right after they're reading, stick to the open-ended questions, not the direct ones that are going to interrupt their thinking. That's from Irene Fountas. So y'all, that's not even from me, okay? All right, this question is from Patricia Buckley. Patricia Buckley is in my curriculum group. I had my curriculum group ask me a bunch of questions. And she said, how do you help children who struggle with visualizing? As one of my students tells me, and this is a quote, it is one black screen inside my head. I don't see any pictures. That's kind of sad that the student said that, isn't it? What I would tell Patricia and anyone else who's working with kids who are struggling with visualizing text as they're reading or before or after they're reading, the first thing I would do is to model that. Model that through thinking out loud about what you're seeing as you're reading a text. So maybe you pick up a little news article or a short story or read just a couple pages and tell the student before you read, tell them, I'm going to read a couple pages of this book. And as I'm reading, I'm going to stop and share my thinking about what I'm picturing inside of my mind. Readers who are thinking about what they're reading oftentimes will picture things inside of their minds. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. And then just go ahead and read the section and stop and share your thinking about what you're picturing. A genre that works really good for this is poetry, because poetry is really short and you can oftentimes have a lot of figurative language and there's a lot of visualizing that can happen inside of poetry. So use poetry, not just in April or May, use it all year long and model how you visualize things as you're reading poetry. That's a really good one. And then after you visualize and you model for your kids, have them practice it for you too. So have them read back to you maybe a different section of that text or the same section and have them tell you what they visualize. Then you can also ground the learning by writing things down. So maybe you write it down, what you're visualizing so they can actually see it. And of course, drawing pictures of what you see in your mind. If you're a halfway decent drawer, you can do that too. Have the kids share what they're visualizing, have them write it down, have them draw pictures as well. And through that modeling and practice and sharing routine, they'll get stronger and better at visualizing. So that was a good question. Next question comes from Robin Carlisle. And Robin says, what is your opinion of whole group shared readings? Does anyone do shared readings as a whole group? If you wanted to give your opinion about that, you certainly can do that too. I would love to hear your expert advice to all the teachers out there. But Here's my first opinion. I like it. I like whole group shared reading. I like it because shared reading is interactive, and anytime I can get my kids all engaged and active in the learning and not passive, I am good with that. I'm always looking for ways to get everybody actively learning, not just those few kids that always raise their hand in class, but everybody actively learning. So shared reading is a way that you can do that. It's interactive, it's engaging, it's fun. Oftentimes what happens is the teacher reads the text while inviting the students along to read certain parts, or stops to think and invites students to share their thinking too. Another type of shared reading is called an interactive read aloud. So a lot of times in K1, there's a lot of shared reading going on. Another thing I love about shared reading is it levels the playing field. What I mean by leveling the playing field is, say I'm in 4th grade and I'm working with a class of readers and they're all over the map. I've got kids reading at a 1st grade level and kids reading at an 8th grade level. But I'm in 4th grade and my job is to teach 4th grade standards, right? So I want to introduce them to appropriate 4th grade text. I can do that through a shared reading experience because those kids who are reading at a 1st grade level, they don't need to decode the words. They don't need to solve all this fluency. They can just listen and focus only on the comprehension, which is really what I want them to focus on for the most part anyways. So when I am able to do a shared reading, everybody in my class has a shared experience of that text. So we have this community of learners now, and it levels the playing field with decoding. Nobody has to worry about doing that because that's the job that I'm doing as the teacher. So I love that. Also, it helps improve their fluency and comprehension because you're modeling good fluency, you're modeling good comprehension for them. And the last thing I love is it does build vocabulary and sight word knowledge too. So shared reading, in my opinion, is a great thing to do, especially with your whole class. I actually am doing a brand new interactive read aloud webinar next week. Is anyone coming to that one? I am super excited about the interactive read aloud webinar. It's brand new. It's happening Wednesday, June 20th at 7:30 p.m. for the first time, and that's Central Time. So I know Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. You caught me live. Carolyn lives in Spain, and I have no idea what time it is. It must be early in the morning for you, Carolyn. But she caught me live. So if you want to watch that webinar, it's 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So make sure to register for that at jenbengalwebinars.com. It's a brand new webinar. I'm going to break down the value of interactive read alouds. They are the heart and soul of my literacy instruction. So I'm super, super excited about that webinar. I've got a lot of cool things planned for you in that one. Yay, Christy's coming, George is coming, Christine's coming, Rebecca, yay, got a thumbs up from Rebecca. Catherine's coming, awesome. I'm so excited that y'all are gonna be there. It's gonna be fun, I can't wait. Last question for tonight is from Carol. I always do bad with last names. Carol Villarreal. Villarreal? I'm trying. So Carol says, for a teacher trying to move from middle school to elementary, what is one thing that is important to remember about reading in elementary school? Great question. So a lot of teachers are moving grade levels right now. Some are moving from 1st to 3rd. Some are moving from middle school down to an elementary school position. I think because I've taught in both middle school and elementary school, and I think one of the biggest differences in middle school is a lot of times, unfortunately now, when you're in middle school, it kind of is not as differentiated as we do in elementary school. So just remember, you're going to be doing a lot more differentiation. So I would say, again, modeling. Just remember, whatever you want your students to be able to do independently, you have to first show them. So don't expect them to be able to do things on their own with just like a couple of directions. You want to model it for them first. That's the big thing. And also I'm a big believer in explaining the reasons why we do things. I know I always want to learn why someone wants me to do something. It motivates me. It encourages me to do that thing. So when I'm teaching students, I always explain to them why I want them to do this. We're doing this because it's important so that we can whatever. So make sure to explain the reasons, model, explain the reasons, and provide grade level appropriate content. Follow your standards. So if you're teaching 3rd grade, cover those standards in your whole group lessons. But then when you break off into independent activities and you're seeing guided reading groups and strategy groups and tier 2 instruction, that's the time then that you'll differentiate. So you're going to be doing whole group instruction at grade level, then differentiating within that. So you'll have to know their ability levels. You'll have to assess them and find out where they are as readers, and you'll meet them at their ability levels. Do not expect your students to meet a textbook, to just say, oh, well, this is the grade level we're teaching, and they're just going to have to work harder to get to this grade level. They're going to have to work harder to read these stories because this is what it says we're supposed to do. Don't do that. Find out where your students are at and meet them there. Don't expect your students to come to what a textbook says. That's my best advice for middle school teachers who are moving into an elementary position. Those are all my questions answered for tonight. Let's see, tomorrow, what are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow is, guided reading. We're going to talk about guided reading tomorrow. I'm going to define guided reading with 5 basic characteristics. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow night at 8. No, not tomorrow night. Yes. What day is it? Oh my gosh. Tomorrow night. I am going to be live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I have on my calendar that I'm going to be live at 2, but I'm going to switch it to 8 because I'm picking my sister up at the airport at 2:30. My sister and my niece are actually flying down here tomorrow from Wisconsin. I live in Alabama, so I'm really excited. So I will not be live at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be live at 8 p.m. Central tomorrow night, and maybe my sister will make an appearance. I don't know. She's kind of fun. She might pop in behind me and give me bunny ears or something. I don't know what she's going to do. You never know. You might want to show up for tomorrow night live. Okay, so 8 o'clock tomorrow night, I'll talk about the 5 things that guided reading is, and I will answer more questions from my teachers. I got my stack over here still. I got to get through from all of my curriculum group here, so I'm doing a few a day, so it's fun. Okay, everybody, that's all I've got for you tonight, and I'll see you again tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. Hopefully I can see you live. Take care, everybody. Have a really great rest of your evening.